full of ignorance. This body, which is ultimately meant for others, has killed many, many phalanxes of men.
Somebody want to read the next verse? Oh, go ahead.
I've killed many boys, brahmanas, well-wishers, friends, parents.
I have killed many boys, brahmanas, well-wishers, friends, parents, preceptors, and brothers. Though I live millions of years, I will not be relieved from the hell that awaits me for all these sins.
Someone from the Vaishnavis, Bridget? There's no sin for a king who kills for the right cause. He is engaged in maintaining his citizens, but this injunction is not applicable to me. Awesome.
Friends of women, and I have thus caused enmity to such an extent that it is not possible to undo it by material welfare work.
As it is not possible to filter muddy water through mud or purify a wine-stained pot with wine, it is not possible to counteract the killing of men by sacrificing animals.
Yes, and we'll read the text 48. Ahome pasyata jnanam Yajiritam dharatmanaha Parakyasya dehasya Kavyo veksha hirnihataha. Would anyone else like to read? We can read the translation together. Yudhisthira said, "Oh my Lord, I am no simple man. Just in my heart, which is full of ignorance, this body, which is ultimately meant for others, has killed many, many phalanxes of men." Go ahead.
It says that his body is ultimately meant for others.
Oh, he's talking about how the body should be used in service for others, and as he's a king, that's more his attitude. The purport actually explains it a little bit better. Maybe we could. Would anyone like to read the purport? Go ahead.
A phalanx of 21,870 chariots, 21,870 elephants, 109,650 infantry, and 65,600 cavalry is called an Akshauhini, and many Akshauhinis were killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Maharaj Yudhisthira, as the most pious king of the world, takes for himself the responsibility for killing such a huge number of living beings, because the battle was fought to reinstate him on the throne. This body is, after all, meant for others. While there is life in the body, it is meant for the service of others, and when it is dead, it is meant to be eaten by dogs and jackals or maggots. He is sorry because for such a temporary body, such a huge massacre was committed.
Joshua So you can see here King Yudhisthira has developed a really nice attitude, because even though he would be forgiven for all his sins, as it talked about in the translation of the verses, he said that when things are done for the proper purpose, for right action, there's no sin committed. But he is still taking on responsibility for this war and the death of so many people. And it is because he is such a kind-hearted, soft-hearted devotee. We remember other stories of King Yudhisthira is that he was so humble. He couldn't find a single person that was better than him, and that's why he was so fit to lead and rule. And so even though this war was the most right cause under Krishna's direction, he is still taking responsibility for his actions. And similarly, we can develop this attitude and engagement of our service of others. So before we get deeper in, I'd love to present a question just as the last class of the semester, glorifying and being grateful for some of the service of others and how that's helped us. Because in the service of others, we also receive great benefit by serving others. So would anyone like to gratify or glorify another devotee here? Go ahead, Gopi.
I've just really appreciated this semester Jonathan's leadership on campus with the Krishna lunch, and always making sure everyone's time. Just as he himself has said in his meditation, is just a preaching activity that it is such a preaching word. Joyous word there. So that's very nice to see.
Yeah, Jai Jonathan. Yeah, John.
I feel like Stephen was a really good ashram leader this year. I know he's not here, but I hope he's listening in. And I feel like everybody was well taken care of, and when we weren't feeling well, he was very patient with us, and he was always available for us. I think he did a really good job, and at the same time, somehow juggling school. So that's really amazing. I couldn't have done that.
Yeah, Stephen was a great example of Kalakanta Prabhu's mission and teachings, what he really emphasized in Type 4, what Type 4 emphasized, and he took it so to heart, and I saw it work so well. So definitely, Stephen did an awesome job. Some glorification. Come on, guys, we all serve each other. Jackson.
I'd like to glorify Bruce. For a short period while Bruce was gone, I got to experience his service and take over the car cleaning. And man, it's not an easy service. It's really potent. You're cleaning those carts, you're cleaning your heart, and to get to experience what Bruce has to do every day, pushing those up and down, and then also doing the drink cart, it's profound. So I want to glorify Bruce for his service, and also just how I've witnessed Bruce grow and receive Krishna's mercy throughout this semester has been super special. And everybody, it's crazy the arrangements he makes for us, and to see us all where we were at even just 2 months ago versus now, it's massive differences.
Awesome.
There are so many people at Krishna House that I could glorify off the top of my head. Kiara for cooking breakfast this entire semester. Everyone for really pulling through quite a tough semester. But I think the one that I really want to glorify is our unsung hero, Adisham Peru. You know, like I really think that we tend to forget because we don't really see him that much, but we tend to forget that he kind of keeps Krishna House running. So he, I really appreciate what he does here for Krishna House, all the maintenance and everything and the finances. And yeah, he really does keep the doors of Krishna House open.
It's amazing. Yeah, every problem call Adishan. all our management here, Shruti, Tasya, Gopi, Lindy, and Advaita Prabhu, have participated so much in supporting and being the backbone, and management is such a difficult service. So Jai, our management team at Krishna House, I will. And Jai, every single one of you guys also keeps Krishna House running, and you guys do amazing service on campus, serving Lord Chaitanya's mission of prasadam distribution. I know it makes Srila Prabhupada so happy to see us touch the hearts of the students on campus who absolutely are drowning in ignorance. And yeah, we can bring a little light and life into their day. So, Jai, all of you guys. Woo! Hi, Brandon.
I wanted to glorify Jackson because I was just outside. I think it was yesterday, and was actually and somebody came up to me. and was like, "Hey, will you please go get Jackson?" They were like, I talked to him on. I think it was on campus or something. And they're like, "I'm really interested in learning more and stuff." And so he actually he like basically somebody that he met doing book distribution was so inquisitive about what he taught them that he came all the way out here to Krishna House just to go to meet him. And so I went upstairs and told him, "Hey, somebody's down here to see you." And so that's just I know he's always out there doing a lot of good service, with the book distribution. Like whenever I went out on a Monday and I seen him out there in the cold by himself, distributing books. I know that that's one of the most meaningful things we can be doing is trying to, put the books out there and try to bring people in.
I want to glorify Jackson also. I don't remember when he got here exactly, but he's been to Tulsi Puja almost every morning. And also Mimi, she didn't miss a single day when she was here also. And he usually sets up all the trays.
And Jai to our pujaris, Gopal and Akuntita, for taking such nice care of our deities. And it's like a background thing, but there is a Mamataji who comes every weekend and brings out nice faces. She actually she personally finances the care of our deities, so it doesn't come out of the Krishna's house budget. That's wonderful. Yes, Jackson.
Also like to reciprocate Gopal's glorification by glorifying Gopal. I kind of an unsung hero as well, like Adisham. Everything that Gopal does keeps this place running in the background so massively. There were 2 or 3 days where Gopal was sick a couple weeks ago, and I came down for Tulsi Puja, and there was no one here, and it was like this terror hit me. It was like, because there's so many little things that Gopal manages in the early mornings that are vital to everything we do. And so I just want to say thank you so much, Gopal, for your association and for your example and your service. Hare Krishna.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, Gopi, and then we need to move forward.
I just wanted to also shout out Nick and Carmen because for the first long part of the semester, they were pretty much carrying our preaching programs on their own shoulders. So thank you very much.
Yeah, Jai, Kevin. Amazing. Also, Gopal, did you guys know he gets here every morning at 3:30 to wake the deities? Amazing. 2:30, 2:45. My goodness. That's awesome. I also want to deeply appreciate each one of you for how the service of supporting and impacting my devotional life. So thank you guys so much. Just being like a presence, encouraging somebody's devotional life by just actively participating. It's been amazing to experience here. So thank you guys for serving me in that. And moving forward, I want to really dive deep into being of service to others and how we can mold ourselves to be the best servant we can be. There's so many important passages from scriptures, too many to go into, but reading the scriptures absolutely is a way that we can develop our consciousness to be the best servant we can be. And rising to that platform of intelligence is where we are of the best service. So when we're on that platform of intelligence, we're transcending a lot of the modes of material nature, which of course can only be done through Srila Prabhupada and Krishna's mercy. So having that strict sadhana and firm conviction in prayer is the best way to be a best servant. And I'd love to open up to you guys. Also, what have you guys noticed really helps you be the best servant you can be? Yeah, Jackson.
Definitely, as you mentioned, that strong conviction in prayer, like what Jonathan and I talked about yesterday, with particularly surrendering at the lotus feet, whether it's in prayer, whether it's paying obeisances, whether it's recognizing how just lowly and fallen we are, and those little moments of getting puffed up about our service or any little thing that happens, just diving at the lotus feet and recognizing that we have no other shelter. We have absolutely nothing but the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Sri Krishna. So continuously getting tested to return to the lotus feet, and also when Krishna gives us those tests, choosing the lotus feet.
Yeah.
One of the main things for me is everybody else's enthusiasm when other devotees are fired up. Fire spreads rapidly. Srila Prabhupada, he said the only thing you need to do in order to be a good preacher is just be enthusiastic. So seeing all the guys like Nate and Bruce and Brandon all the time, just like and Jackson, just all the time, just like being ready to go and wanting to do this and wanting to be here and wanting to get better at bhakti, and just seeing them like run around and be creative. That's like, what else are you gonna do? Except
Yeah. That's awesome. That's true. Yeah, Bruce?
Sorry, what was the question again?
How to be of best service to others? What helps you?
What helps me be the best servant to others is the relationships that I'm having. Like, if I'm on good standings with someone, then I'm going to be of better service with them. And being understood within those relationships, being recognized, and
Awesome. Yes. Good one. Yeah, really.
What helps me with service is seeing everybody else just as like my brothers and sisters, like
Yeah.
as like another version of me. And so I like it, and it makes me feel good, it makes them feel good. And so it's like, it just inspires me to, like, if I see something small I can do for somebody, then it's just like, it's worth that, doing it instead of just being sitting back and not doing it for me. I just feel like it kind of influences me in a sense to be able to do service.
That's beautiful. Little acts of kindness. Ajit?
What helps me be a better servant is to
use my skills, my nature, Krishna service, and so yeah, recognizing like, okay, Krishna, you gave me these gifts, you gave me these, and let me use them back. And that's when I can feel kind of like satisfied.
That's wonderful.
So
Yeah.
figuring out what your maybe like your Varna is, kind of working within that. So
Yes, great point. Yes, and also when you're satisfied, you're more open to serving others in little ways and spreading that love and mercy around and preaching and maybe even doing the services that aren't as fun. Any last comments? Okay. I wanted to get into practically being of service to others, what that kind of means and looks like. One of the most important things actually is caring for yourself. So we talked about sadhana, and then also in really practical ways, your mental, spiritual, and emotional health is so important. And also developing this warrior mindset towards our weaker conditioned nature helps us care for ourselves better and then care for others. Because when our cup is really full, it's so much easier to spread droplets onto other people. And so, of course, having sadhana, attentive chanting, and then also making sure practical things like your laundry is cared for, your room is clean, keeping your mind free of like negativity. Our mind can immediately fall so quickly into the traps of Maya when we're not trying to engage and dovetail into our relationship with Krishna at every moment. There's always those opportunities and tests. And then also properly caring for your own emotional state. This is an emotional process, the opening of the heart and connecting with Krishna and recovering from lifetimes of baggage in the material world. And so we have to care for our own hearts. And then when we feel cared for in our own hearts, we also receive care through caring for others. When you give somebody a hug when they really need it, that feeling, you're also receiving love and care by giving it to others. And we need that so much. So it's so important at every moment, there's an opportunity to connect with someone and be of service to them. There's an opportunity to be serving Krishna through remembering his pastimes, through chanting his names. And Rasika Prabhu has talked about in Bhakti Shastri recently, we've gone over it a little bit, that our responsibility is the breadth of our activities. So taking advantage as much as we can, including recreation, to serve Krishna and to serve Srila Prabhupada. And then that gives every moment Krishna an opportunity to reciprocate with us, to deepen our relationship, to open our heart, and to grow our sadhana bhakti plant. So we need to become very good gardeners in our heart, and then also externally in really loving and caring for each other. And so on the topic of caring for each other, I'd love to hear about some of y'all's favorite ways to be of service to others. I'll start with an example. I love to listen. I feel like listening is loving. If you can just be willing to lend an open ear and reserve judgment from somebody, I think that's a really great way to show our love. Yes, Zach?
That brings up a thought for me is, I guess, serving others. There's a lot of ways to do it physically. Like, I think that kind of like not judging other people, is something like internally that you can serve others. I know struggle with that, but trying to catch myself of like judging, oh, this person's this way now, and instead trying to like look at myself instead of look at how other people have all these problems. And I guess that's service in itself, and not
That's a great point.
being offensive.
Yeah. Did you?
my favorite way to serve others is by serving Krishna. By really doing my best to chant my rounds attentively and study the scriptures and all the 9 processes of devotional service, because ultimately it's going to purify us, and then we'll be the best person for everybody. Like you have one pure devotee can transform the world. So sometimes we get I think we get a little bit too caught up on like serving others now. I need to serve others now, but like ultimately, if we purify our heart, that's the greatest service for mankind.
Exactly right. Yeah. Bruce?
I like to serve others by listening to them too. And a good way I like to listen is to really be present and in the moment, so that way they have my full like attention, and they can recognize that they have my full attention at that moment. And then that lets them know that they're being reciprocated the best I can possibly reciprocate. And that makes somebody feel a sense of satisfaction and happiness.
One way I like to serve is whenever I have like, let's just say extra of something or something like that, or maybe I see where somebody might be lacking something or something like that. I like to just be that person that can kind of just give to somebody like without them asking you. I mean, just kind of like just surprise somebody. I like surprising people sometimes with just like little gifts here.
And it can be so meaningful if somebody really needs something and sometimes they aren't taking the steps to get it themselves. It can be like absolutely revolutionary and bring so much peace to someone's heart and mind if we can just care for somebody's needs or even sometimes help to meet their little desires, Jackson?
I like serving people food. Just to see the way their faces light up. Like it might be the same person every single day for a whole semester, and when they get fed, they're just through the roof.
Yeah. Cooking food for me is like a love language.
I like to give hugs and make eye contact. Eye contact is really a profound way to receive another soul and witness Krishna's the infinite jewel of the eye, and also giving hugs to other brahmacharis is really special, especially since I've come to Krishna consciousness. Like the depth of the hugs I'm receiving and giving are just becoming so beautiful, and it's like mercy each time that we get to stop and really receive each other as souls for a second.
Yeah, I love the hugs here at Krishna. Yeah. And that intimacy is actually so necessary for our development. Yes, Karina.
By sharing words of appreciation. It's like witnessing the other person, and then say they have a quality or they have like an inclination that's specific to them. I enjoy appreciating that, and then almost like encouraging and fanning those flames because they have a specific quality that Krishna gave them, and sometimes it just needs like a little bit of like fanning the flames to really amplify that and amplify their light. So little words of appreciation.
Great point. Thank you. Yeah, definitely. And the trick with service is also to really battle against our anarthas, the things that are a real enemy of our service attitude. And one of those things is apathy. Because in this age of Kali Yuga, we become deteriorated. That's part of this age. Is things that were a natural inherent quality in people, especially in the mode of goodness, getting to that platform, become very deteriorated in this age of Kali Yuga, and we all experience that in conditioning. And one of those things is apathy, this feeling of, I don't really care, and sometimes that can come from feelings of neglect from our own life and conditioning. So in order to really combat against that, it's about deeply connecting with Krishna and Srila Prabhupada, because Srila Prabhupada was the exact opposite of apathy. You know, he was absolutely willing to engage in any service necessary for Krishna, and he absolutely loved each and every one of us. And he is our acharya, our example. We're meant to follow that example of the depth of his love for every soul and his willingness to show up in every moment for the soul and what they authentically needed and what they needed also to support themselves in devotional life. That is the point of Krishna consciousness, is to help souls develop in their relationship with Krishna. And that is what heals our heart from our sufferings and what heals the world. And it absolutely is possible for every soul to attain that love that Srila Prabhupada is offering for every living entity. Yeah, because of his example, we see that it's possible. And because of our own actions every day, we can get there quickly. You know, so many times we see in the scriptures, Prabhupada says, quickly, 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 very quickly, it can be done. It's very nice. Do you guys have any examples of things that you feel like keep you away from full-hearted service? Jackson?
I'd say my biggest Maya is, in the moment of service, definitely there's like this fatigue that hits. It's like this subtle anarta fatigue that I can feel on the heart. It's this heaviness that comes in and it's like, oh, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But then it's like I'm bodybuilding and it's like a game. It's like this, the moment you push through it and meet Krishna's test, service just becomes that much sweeter. Krishna also loves to test me with food. Like putting out an apple at like the hardest time when I'm about to go do service and it's like, oh, I could just sit down and eat. Or like, yeah, he loves to test me with snacks.
Yes, Jonathan?
That's an easy one. That's health. Sick, not feeling good. Never be able to serve properly, and even mental health.
Yeah. Bruce?
I don't know if I want to say it stops my service, but it definitely disturbs and holds back my service attitude. Is like grudges that I feel like I'm holding that are really hard to let go.
Yeah, no, feelings we have, if they're negative with other aspiring devotees, can absolutely be an impediment to our bhakti process. It can be, and that's actually one of the times it's most important. If we're feeling a certain way about someone, if we serve them, we offer even just a little service, it's crazy how quickly that feeling will alleviate, because we're also suffering that feeling. It's not fun to feel enmity towards someone, even if it's for a valid reason, even if somebody did something like outrageously offensive. You know, it's really hard. Actually, yesterday a Prabhupada disciple, their car got blocked in, and he told me some nice wisdom. He was saying, you know, if somebody offends you and you cannot be angry, you conquered this world. So, yeah, Jackson.
That's a really profound point. When we witness ourselves becoming begrudging, resentful, or offended, the dovetail is to serve.
Yes.
Wow. That's because I've often, before Krishna consciousness, like I would try that, but it was insincere. You know, it was like, oh, I see that. It was almost like a form of suppression. And so when it's genuine, when it's truly in devotional service, I can see that being.
Yes. So real quick, I want to enunciate that the whole bhakti process is the way of loving devotional service, and that is our way out of the material world. That is our way through the back door that Srila Prabhupada is opening. And that is the reality of this movement, is if we can just open our heart to serve others. And there's always some way that you can find a reason to serve somebody with an open heart. There's always a nice quality you can find about them, or just the fact that there's a super soul, a piece of Krishna in their heart, and that their soul is actually pure and loving, and their outward conditioning may have been offensive in some way, but we can always remember that that is a spirit soul in there. That is something very dear to Krishna. That is our family. That's Krishna's family, you know? So we can always find a reason to serve someone with an open heart, even if it's challenging. And it's also really important to have a lot of grace with ourselves through our conditioning, but also be very firmly convicted in our intention. So not being hard on ourselves, but still, as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, to be willing to kind of beat ourselves in our mind with a stick in a loving way. He said to beat our mind with a stick in the morning and a boot at night. We have to keep ourselves in check. But that doesn't mean we are hating on ourselves, because we have to keep our mind and body in balance in order to serve Krishna properly. So finding where you can do that in a loving way without excess sentimentality is really the way there. Yes, Zach?
So yeah, well, that's really awesome. I was thinking about one thing for like the apathy canceller, like how to cancel out apathy.
Yeah.
It's just at learning to, I guess in my journey, this has been big for me, but learning how to advocate for my needs
Yes.
and not like close off. And then, so I guess part of that's like learning what my needs were, and then how to communicate them to people who could actually help.
Yes.
And so kind of developing that discernment of who can help also and who's just going to make them more complicated.
Yeah.
And so finding some senior mentors who can help you, and not be afraid to like really share yourself with them and like be honest, even if you think it's offensive or you think what you're feeling is like going to be rejected by them or they're going to like hate you forever.
Yeah.
You just still like say, look, I'm really struggling with this. I don't know where I should go. I don't know what I should do. And just like have some surrender to their instruction, or like just surrender yourself up in that way.
Yeah, there is a question of, we need to have a proper situation to be engaged in bhakti. And Prabhupada has set up this perfect process for us. So it's about finding a way with the guidance of our mentors, as you suggested. Our mentors who, I heard great advice. We need to know that somebody cares for us. Finding a mentor who we know cares, because then it's so much easier for us to have faith in their advice. If we know, oh, this person really cares, and this person shows up for us. And then also that mind, the struggles of the mind, we may be conditioned in finding a problem with our environment, and that can oftentimes trigger our nervous system to fight or flight. We want to run away, or we might want to enter some combativeness, because that's the age of Kali Yuga, is quarrel and hypocrisy. We might be very critical and fault finding, but another way to service others is to be very forgiving and to be forgiving towards ourselves. However, this model of example that King Yudhisthira is showing, where he is actually completely cleared from any sinful reaction, but he deeply takes responsibility for the hurts that he caused. And he says here, he feels sorry for such a temporary body, such a huge massacre is committed. So sometimes, you know, the temporary body, the alleviation of its suffering to find comfort, like Hiranyakashipu. His name means, like, part of his name means soft bed, and it's part of that demoniac consciousness can be seeking comfort. And really the point of what I'm trying to say is we should deeply take responsibility for the way we offend others and for the way our our current sphere might not be in line with true Krishna consciousness. And if we can deeply take responsibility for the ways that we are off kilter and allow ourselves to be molded through this process and through the guidance of our mentors, then we can actually show up in sincere, selfless service for other people. And that is the process of opening our heart to our loved ones in Krishna consciousness, to our well-wishers, and open our hearts to pray. Sometimes it can be an impediment in our service to have a feeling of pride, because part of our service is surrender. So yes, Gopi.
Question asked, I think was stopping us from that full surrender.
Yeah.
So first, I would like to argue that full surrender. Again, we have like this motive passion way of thinking about it. That okay, today I need to fully surrender, but this is a marathon and not a sprint. And real full surrender is to be able to dedicate your life to Krishna. And what stops you from dedicating your whole life? Well, giving up the process at some point. And I haven't been around for that long, but sure, since I've seen people come and go. What's the thing that makes the difference between someone who keeps going and someone that stops? The difference is real deep friendships.
Yeah.
And out of everything everyone said today, like Bruce was the only one who like touched on this. I don't remember exactly what Bruce was saying, but at one point he was saying it's to really be understood. Something like that. So Prabhupada speaks about association with devotees and how that keeps us in Krishna consciousness and keeps us going. We have to think about what association really means. Even though we're living in a temple and practicing Krishna consciousness, we still have so many personal tendencies that we constantly have to fight against.
Yeah.
And we can like move around other devotees, but not really associated with truth. We've studied through instruction this semester. What Bruce was speaking about is mentioned by Swami. You have to be able to really inquire from someone. They have to be able to really reveal their mind and vice versa. So friendships, that's what keeps you going. It could be one person. Maybe you're married, it's your spouse, or maybe it's like one person. And then you have to protect that friendship. Again, Bruce was also speaking about grudges, I believe. Oftentimes someone does something, maybe we're friends with someone, they do something, and now we hold a grudge. That's the thing that's going to consciousness, as dramatic as that might sound. We need these friendships to be able to go hold. So full surrender means getting your whole life, and that's kind of work hard to build a deep relationship with so that we can walk the path together.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's something we talked about in Bhakti Sastra, as you mentioned, that association, like real association, requires loving exchanges. So that giving and accepting of prasadam, of gifts, and of inquiring confidentially and sharing your mind confidentially. So absolutely that part of opening your heart, receiving guidance. And yes, Jackson?
Coming off of Gopi's point, and a piece I wanted to ask Gopi. So in the past week, I've heard a couple people say, talking about losing themselves in Krishna consciousness as if it were a negative. And it was interesting to hear these conversations where people, where there were accounts of people, so quote unquote, losing themselves to Krishna consciousness. And I was really thinking about it, and isn't that the point? I like the most beautiful thing we can possibly do is completely lose ourselves in Krishna consciousness, in these relationships, in this association. And so I wonder, Gopi, what your thoughts are on that point of completely taking ourselves out of the center and losing our ego a bit to this process. So I wonder if you've ever heard people say the same thing in a negative note, where it's like, oh, I had to leave the ashram because I felt like I was losing myself. Or you're in a kirtan and you feel like you're losing yourself.
I had a quick point on it, is that really what that is the false ego identification with our conditioning. So if we think of ourselves as like white bodied and things like that, then we just need to reemphasize that this bhakti process, part of it is finding your true self, and that is the most satisfying. So it's not you're losing yourself in Krishna consciousness, you're finding it. You're not losing anything. You're allowing what's not working for you to just fall away in this process. And actually, this chanting of Hare Krishna is the only work we have to do. We just have to allow this chanting process to clear the plugs in our heart. Krishna is really the only one who can really purify us. And then in that light of coming near Krishna, that's when we can really see our true nature, our true qualities. I absolutely feel that I've been able to find a more authentic version of myself. And it can feel like you're losing something, but that feeling is good. Like you said, that's the feeling of it falling away. And we can be attached to those things that aren't good for us. That's like a natural thing in conditioning, is to be very attached to things that aren't always good for us. But if we can just divert our attention to what we're gaining at every moment, we should never be focusing on what we're losing. Let's just focus on what we're gaining. This depth of connection with the only living being, Krishna, who can truly love us and care for us in a way that's fully satisfying to our heart and mind through our specific relationship with him, our individual relationship with him, which brings to light our true person. It's a very personal relationship. And Gopi, did you have any point on it?
My thought on it, I think there's a little bit of a miscommunication between what those devotees were probably saying and how they understood it. Because as both of you have been saying and suggesting, there is a lot of ourselves that we need to shed. And at the same time, sometimes there can be a false renunciation that happens where devotees take up Krishna consciousness and they do give up parts of their personality that could have been used in Krishna service. I don't know if any of you saw, I think it was right after Nartana's Kirtan on Saturday. There was a Prabhupada disciple that played guitar and led Kirtan. So his name is Mangalananda. His name is also, his Karmi name is Michael Cassidy. So he was a singer-songwriter before he became a devotee, and Prabhupada encouraged him to keep making guitar songs, and he had records that are quite popular that you can buy today. So I think what some of those devotees experienced is that they shoved themselves or were shoved too much into a mold beyond what was natural and necessary. So we have to shed a lot of our false ego, but we should also dovetail whatever we're interested in. This is done, of course, with the help of a mentor, because we can easily fool ourselves. If we just try and do it ourselves, we might hold on to things that we shouldn't, give up things we should. So you do it with a mentor, but the point is just, yes, we shed a lot, we give up our false ego, but we shouldn't become dehumanized robots.
Yeah, definitely. We do have to move forward in that. But no, just like Jackson pointed.
I've noticed exactly that in my experience, like how we can actually take the parts of ourselves that we may judge and that we may taking our false ego and dovetailing it in Krishna service. But when I first came in, I wanted to give everything away, totally false renunciate. And now that I'm even slightly building a foundation, I see that there's so many things that can be dovetailed. It's amazing.
Yeah, this is the age of Yukta Vairagya, engaging everything we can in Krishna service. That's the proper way to make everything happy and peaceful. Is its constitutional position is to be a servant to Krishna, to serve Krishna. That's what brings us to true satisfaction. And Bruce, did you want to make your point quickly? Okay, okay. Cool. So I wanted to end this class as we're about to head into break by talking about our ability to really be in service and to prepare in this break period, and to give some hope that it really is possible for us to get through this service. Oftentimes there's a lot of noise in the mind, there's a lot of confusion, but if we can just focus in on the process that Srila Prabhupada has laid out for us, then we can really very easily attain our highest goal. We just have to relax into this process and do what we can to care for ourselves and care for others. And really, as long as we're surrendering through this process with the knowledge that this is really a perfect process, and we're doing our best to care for others, bring out their authentic expressions, and also encouraging others as much as we can in their devotional practice and their bhakti service, and trying to come from a place of love. It's actually Krishna's favorite thing if we serve each other, his devotees. It's what Prabhupada asked for, good relationships. And in order to really develop a close relationship with Krishna, we have to go through Radharani. Prabhupada says that Radharani owns Krishna. And when I asked my spiritual master, how do we gain Radharani's favor, her mercy, so she'll lead us to Krishna, he said, serve the devotees. That is what it is. So as long as we can engage in some service to each other, even in little ways every day, there's opportunities for service. Every step you take could lead you towards Krishna. And then that means whatever step you're taking, he's taking 10 times more that for you, towards you. And that Rasika Prabhu said a point last night that I want to emphasize is that it's not just this life where we've had a relationship with Krishna, where it's things in this life, it's all of our past lives and our spiritual bank account and our life in the spiritual world that leads Krishna to have the impetus, the motivation to help bring us to him, and that he will even drag us across the finish line if needed, as long as we pray and are willing to even have a small amount of sincerity, just a little bit of sincerity in this process of a little bit of desire to want to head towards Krishna, to want to surrender our material things. Remember not to let yourself become too aggravated. If you're feeling too anxious in any way, you're probably maybe too much focused on the material, because this process is a blissful process. It's meant to be very satisfying. And so I encourage everybody, if you're feeling that way, to reach out to a mentor, to a loved one, to someone you feel like can lend a lovely listening ear, because then you're also offering them that beautiful opportunity of service and joy. So breakfast is here. Thank you guys all so much. If anyone has any last minute loving comments. No. Okay, John.
Last minute loving comments. I want to give two more quick shout outs. One to Rasika Prabhu. He didn't get a shout out in this semester. He's been so solid with cultivating relationships with the boys and just being available for everybody and freely sharing off his extensive wealth and knowledge on the books. And he's been solid out there on campus as the bartender and just like having a great time and talking to students. He's been so great to have around. And also Kunti, she's just been solid as far as she's been the first one there on campus every single day unloading the truck. The first one there and last one to leave, and doing multiple different service stations very well. So consistency, man, with everybody this semester, it's been really amazing.
Thank you, Jonathan.
I got something about the mentorship thing, because I feel like that's what you're talking about a lot. Sometimes it takes time to find one, and I just want to say quickly, like if you feel like you don't have that strong, man or woman that's a mentor you can call or write, it's an example of somebody that's like a leader in your life and what they tell you, like everything they've told you, you follow. Like, wow, it really helped and worked out, and I trust this person. You just have to keep looking, and you can't give up. And it might not be in the first place you look. It might not be the first Krishna house you look. It might. But just it took me a long time. But you have to seek. You have to seek, and you can't give up until you find that.
Yeah.
And you might get burnt a little bit here and there too.
Yeah.
But you can't stop.
It's okay. And Krishna provides everything we need to all living entities. So he will absolutely provide guidance in the right time in the right moment as you really need it. So, okay, Jai, thank you guys all so much. Join us tomorrow to celebrate this beautiful semester at 5 p.m. And all glories to your devotional service. Jai. Rupa Goswami ki jai.